Welcome, Brittany May. Amazing, amazing. The creator of Simply Happy Life. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, what's your story? The first thing I noticed when I saw when I saw Simply Happy Life and when I saw your message was I was like, okay, there's a story here. That brought to the realization of simplicity and a happy life. And implementing that into entrepreneurship, which is not something that goes hand in hand with entrepreneurship sometimes. So, what's your story? How did all of this come about?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they definitely don't always mesh together. But yeah, I started out, I've always been an entrepreneur. I was raised by an entrepreneur, so that's kind of the only ever pathway I saw for myself. I started fresh out of university sewing on the sewing machine that I got when I was like for my seventh birthday and worked very hard and got into fashion weeks, and I got my own stores, and at one point I had 6 of my own brick and mortar stores,
Mm,
and it looked amazing on paper.
mm,
However, I was working nonstop, and they're all in different states, and between fashion weeks and then the different buying conventions, which it's in New York and Las Vegas, so different coasts, it
mm,
was crazy. So it really, and I really thought that that's how it looked to run a successful business, that it was the name of the game, right? You have to hustle harder,
mm,
and that working harder meant working longer hours.
mm.
So I breathed, slept, dreamt work. And so my poor friends, I don't even know really how I had friends because I never got to hang out with them. So it was definitely an experience, but it's what I wanted. But then fast forward, I became a mom, and that's really when the entire thing changed for me, because I not only had to, but I wanted to value my time.
Mm,
And, in retail life, those weekends and holidays are when you're the busiest,
mm,
not when you get to kick back and hang out with your family. So I was like, this is not gonna work, like this is not cutting it. So what do you do? So I was like, okay, so I either like ditch everything, my entire career, everything I've ever worked for, and what, like go get a 9 to 5, like, oh, like that just makes me, I can't. So I was like, there's got to be a different way. And typical, I know we've talked, I know you're artistic too, and it's just that creative thinking and problem solving. And I was like, okay, so I restructured my entire business model and put it all online. And that's when I really started the process where I've become essentially obsessed with smarter systems and automating and evergreen and just what that looks like
mm,
in business terms. So now I have 2 companies. I serve on the executive board of a third, and I work part-time hours, usually just a handful of hours every week.
mm.
So it's changed my life. It's changed my children's life. I have 2 now, going on 3, and it's just, I want that for other entrepreneurs, because you see that hustle harder is being pushed everywhere, and I'm like, no, don't fall for it. Don't do it. So yeah, that's kind of been my journey and how I wound up here.
Mm, mm. And in very harsh words, I said, I heard once that hustle is the new stupid, and you're like, "Ah, you wouldn't use that, you wouldn't go that far."
I know, but it's true. I just don't like to hurt people's feelings, but no, it is. It really is true. Because it's working smarter, and it's about leveraging your knowledge and your value, not your time. You don't want to be tied. I guess I shouldn't speak for people. I don't want to be tied to my calendar or
Mm,
my schedule, like that's the beauty of running our own businesses, that we get to decide what that looks like for us.
mm. Yeah.
So.
I like the definition. I mean, I've been through many different definitions of business. The one I stayed with this over the years is a profitable commercial enterprise that works without you. A profitable commercial enterprise that works without. I'm like, I like that one.
That's
I
so
like-
exactly.
Yeah. So essentially, you show people how to do that. How to have a profitable commercial enterprise that works without them. In or at least you know leverages. a lot of what they are meant to be doing every day, and just takes the unnecessary away from
Yeah, I would say it teaches them to work for them.
them.
So it's something, and we take whatever they're passionate about and help them streamline and create those systems that are custom for their businesses and automate. And so all they have to do is show up and do the thing that they actually love doing, and all the messy back end stuff, they don't have to worry about that anymore. And so it's just really trying to take that huge load off of them, but help them be able to grow and build their business without them being worried about all that, tweeting and posting and whatever, hashtag all the things.
Yeah. um, I mean, how can you even keep up? Like the latest hashtag, the latest this, the latest, what's trend, what's not. So walk me through the process. So I come to you, a person comes to you, right, and says, overwhelmed. They come with all the typical entrepreneur problems, right? Overwhelmed, no time for my life, no freedom, all of that stuff. What happens?
Yeah. I think my number one first step, I feel like people are making it way harder than it needs to be. And it's hard because we hear it's a lot of noise online right now. And so we're being told to do all the things. So it's like, oh, someone needs to go. LinkedIn is the way to go. It's like, I go, okay, I'll go over here, and you try to figure that out. And someone's like, no, Twitter's where it's at. And you're like, okay, I'll go over there. Right. And it's like squirrel syndrome. So I just help them. I basically give them the guilt-free ticket to just cut all the crap out and stop and get priority focused. I call it being unapologetically profit focused. If it's not bringing money in, we're not going to waste your energy on doing it right now. We get onto it later. It's always going to be there, right? But right now, all we care about is profit. So really honing in, we do like a money map thing and figure out where that's coming in. And like, I don't know if you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, but figure out what is bringing in 80% of the profit, but only takes 20% of your time. That's what we're going to focus on. And we're going to cut out all the rest.
Mm. Wow. I'm sure you do this a lot brilliantly. One of the things that really changed it for me, was batch creating. Realizing that okay, we need pictures, videos, all of this stuff. So we just spend the weekend to create a lot of it, and now the VA just repurposes them. That just free. Like, for me, part of I procrastinated year after year, going online with my business. Just the idea of I have to show up every day, show my dinner, my lunch. I didn't want. Okay, so now they're with you and all of that. Then what happens after that? What happens? What?
Otherwise, we're going through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I break it down into 3 phases. So I've got a program. So if that's the fit for them, I usually push them in my program because it's already laid out for them. So they get to just hop in and do it at their own pace. I do take on one-on-one clients, but it's generally 6-7 figure or higher people that they need really hands-on custom systems. But for the average entrepreneur, it's just, we break it down into the 3 phases. And so that first phase, I call it the messy phase, and it's getting them to those 5K months, and it's the hands-on, it's focusing on what their profit is and cutting out all of the fluff. All we care about is getting those clients or customers in. And then that's when they're really going to build out the core of their business, because that's when you get the feedback, you're getting hands-on, you're going to start to see those patterns. Like, what questions are you answering a million times over? You're like, this is like the 3rd email where someone has asked me this. And you start to see those, and then you help them build out their signature program or a membership or a course. I don't believe in cookie cutters, so it's going to look a little bit different for everybody depending on how they like to connect with people, how they like to work, and how they show, their value the best, and help them build out those systems for that signature process. And then we create a funnel, and then it's an automated evergreen. So no more of this social media worrying game. It's just a funnel that works every single time you put it through and sells on autopilot. And then finally, the last step is leads to put into that funnel, and how you get those. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I only teach organic methods because I think that's a really solid base. And then, paid ads is always like the cherry on top, but you be able to bring in those organic leads on your own first. That's essentially kind of the 3-part process.
So what are some of the benefits that somebody will get from this? So I come to you now, what are some of the benefits?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just a solid system to be able to really streamline without wasting all your time. And it's just going to show you step by step how to build out that value, how to scale your business, how to create those systems that work specifically for you, so you can leverage them. It's all about evergreen and automation and systems that are going to be able to help you grow without pouring more time in. Because personally, as a mom, and I think I hear the other one upstairs right now, but it's like that's essential because who knows? My oldest, she's home. We're back down into lockdown again in Germany. And so I can be confident that my funnels are still going and I'm still getting sales, but I'm not tied to my computer. And so it's really getting that solid system in place for your business. So you're not having to show up and post your lunch and dinner, every day and like being stressed out about it.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. How do you end up in Germany?
So that was my husband's fault. I married a military man, so we move all the time. So we've been here about probably going on 2 years now, but we love it.
And I mean, like with your automation, that must really take away a lot from you, so be able to just travel, live around the world anywhere, and you know.
Exactly. It was essential because anybody who's not familiar with the military lifestyle, we move about every 2 to 3 years. The packing up, and then when you have kids, you've got to find, new doctors, new dentists, new school, new. It's like 2 months on both sides, like gone of your life. And so in order for me to have a business, like I had to have these automations and these systems in places. Otherwise my whole business would go flop, every time we moved, which is every few years. So I was like, that's not going to work.
Yeah. So so you mentioned owning your the thing before and also being in fashion. Are there things you learned from doing that, that you're carrying into what you're doing currently?
Yeah, definitely. It gave me a very, very unique experience, starting out not only with product, but with just the brick and mortar business model. I feel like I learned a lot. And I know back then, all my business friends were, store owners, because that's like who I hung out with, right? And they were not leveraging the online space. And then, I built a website, and within like a month, it was accounted for like 50% of our revenue. And I was like what? And zero overhead basically compared to an entire lease on a store, so it was like mind blowing. I'm like, you guys, you're missing out. Like, what is happening? And then when I really dove into the online world, there's so many amazing, like, personable things that the brick and mortar people are doing that online people don't. So it's been awesome to really have both of those experiences to kind of leverage from, because I think like I was a huge fan of guerrilla marketing and fashion design because I was fresh out of university and had two pennies to rub together. So you had to get creative to make it work, right? Yeah. So yeah, I've definitely still pull from a lot of my experiences to this day, for sure.
I think another beautiful thing, personally for me with guerrilla marketing is the indirect, like the indirectness of it. We both shared how we would the last thing we want to be referred to as is a coach. you know? That must, and also being a designer, that must also helps with designing the systems, because design is a skill that can be applied into different things. Like, did that help with designing the systems? And
Yeah, probably. I've never actually thought about that. So that's a really unique question. But yeah, I do. Like, I've got my big whiteboard behind me, and if you could see the other parts of my office, I have paper everywhere. So very much still a visual person, and I map out like our funnels and our systems, and I have to. So yeah, I think that is part of the, that same side of the brain that's using that to create, for sure. That's
and the
funny.
and the beautiful sketch you have on Instagram. I actually really love that
Trev.
sketch. Okay. So, right, like what's the vision, right? What's the vision for the next couple of years? Like, what do you have planned?
Um, ooh, that's a good question. I really think just growing. I've started my own signature program after working one on one with my clients, and that launched essentially this year. So it's still really, really new, and I would just want to grow that. I would love to grow that to be its own $1 million product. I
Mhm.
think that's the immediate goal. And then eventually, maybe hand it off to my daughters if they want to. I'm not going to force it on them, but that would be the long-term goal.
Um, I mean, growing around you, the artistry and the entrepreneurship will rub off. Okay. Here's my guess. One of them is gonna take the artistry. One of them is gonna take the entrepreneurship.
I could see that. They're very, very different already. So it will be interesting to say the least.
Very. You don't take one-on-one clients currently.
I do, but it's very hand-picked. And I'm currently full, so not at this very moment. but I do at some point.
What would it take? Like, what would it take to work with you?
Um, honestly, it's something that I have to get excited about it. Like it's certain projects, and if I get excited, then like yeah, I'm all in. And the other people, I'm like, that sounds really boring. And those are the ones who are like, probably not right now, because I do. I most days I'm hanging out with my kids and we're messing around and kind of being lazy bums, to be honest, especially in the COVID times. But yeah, so it's something that I think has to get me excited. That's what really draws me to
Mm.
different clients.
So still the artist at the core.
Exactly. See, I'm still an artist at heart.
Yeah. When it comes to indirect, that's one thing we both have in common in terms of, what we might call it seduction marketing, seduction business entrepreneurship, where we like to pull you in indirect ways as opposed to, hey, here's the shit, come on by, come on do. Yeah. So how do you implement the indirectness in your business currently?
Yeah, I would say probably the main one right now is Clubhouse. And that's been,
Ooh.
yeah, like an interesting one. I joined in January this year, so very new. That's where I met my new business partners, all on Clubhouse. So it's a really unique, fun platform. I'm not on it very often,
Hmm.
couple times a week, but when I am, it's really fun and interesting enough. You never know where the conversation is going to go, so that's kind of cool.
So show up and just have lots of conversation. It goes where it goes.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting. I mean, it's beautiful to speak to uh, genuine, just the energy is pure, the passion is pure, and the desire to really help people with what you want to help people with is very pure. And it's an honor to speak with you and go through your business and all of that with you. So for the people who want to work with you, how can they work with you?
Yeah, no, thank you for that first off. Happy to be here. But yeah, simplyhappylife.com is the easiest way. You can direct message me. Instagram, feel free to shoot me a DM. I hang out on there. So if you want to see cute kids, you can follow me on there. That's what you're gonna get. But yeah, either way, just say hi.
All right. Thank you very much for coming through, and it's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Mm.